Hey everybody, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how I made my version of the overlapping shapes assignment, which you can see here. The most important thing is to work with a blade that is sharp and to go super slowly. The more careful and the more slowly you do your cutting, the better off your results will be. So before you get started, you need to gather all the materials that you need. So you need your Xacto blade. You need a cutting mat to cut on top of. If you're working from home, you can use the back of your pad of Bristol. If you can take one of these harder pieces of cardboard, this is a great thing for you to cut on. Don't cut directly onto your table, it will ruin your table. You probably will need a ruler and a scrap piece of paper, a sheet of Bristol, the black paper, and a glue stick. So gather all those things and we will get started. Okay, so I've sped up this portion of the video to keep things moving for you guys. You can see that I have printed out my sketch since I made mine in Photoshop, and I'm just working very slowly with my ruler, bit by bit. It might not look like I'm working very slowly because this video is so much faster, but I'm kind of moving around the shape and then using my Xacto blade to free the corners or any places where it needs to be free. So you can see I'm not using very heavy pressure when I use my Xacto blade. I'm using very light pressure and I'm doing multiple passes to cut out each shape. I never have my fingers or something else in the way of the blade, so it's impossible for me to cut myself. The other thing is my blade is very sharp, and working with a sharp blade helps the process move along. If my blade were dull, you would see that the edges would start to look a little bit furry, and it would take much more effort for me to cut out my design here. So I am cutting out everything that is black in one continuous shape because everything is connected in my design. The first thing I did was tape my design on top of my piece of paper. You may notice that my piece of paper is red. Yours should be black. Mine is red for the purpose of this demo because it's easier for you to see the piece of paper that I'm cutting. If it were black, it would blend in with the printed version of my design on top of it. Once I've finished cutting out the entire design here, I'm going to go back in and very carefully clean up any of my edges that look a little bit rougher. So I'm just taking a look at the whole thing here and making sure that my edges look clean and sharp. Next, I need to cut a piece of Bristol to the 6 by 9 inch picture plane. The best way to do this is to use a ruler and make multiple marks for each of the dimensions. So what I'll do is I'll take my ruler and I'll use a pencil and I will draw a little tick mark for 9 inches 3 or 4 times along the edge of the paper here, and then connect those dots. That way I am more likely to have an edge that is straight. Once I've done that and cut that side out, I'll do the same thing on the other side, making multiple little tick marks for 6 inches and then cut that out using my Xacto and the ruler. So you can see that the portion of the paper that will be a part of my final composition is to the left here, and that's because in case my Xacto blade slips up, it will damage the piece of paper that is not going to be used by me for this project. The other thing that's important to notice here is I'm using multiple passes of light pressure to cut the paper. I'm not trying to cut it in one pass. So remember, lots of light pressure is the key here. Now that I have my paper cut out, I can glue my design to my piece of paper. I'm just going to make a little mark here so I know where that's going to go. Now I'm using a scrap piece of paper. I flip my design over and I will glue as lightly as I can. Even the glue stick can get really messy really quickly, so try to keep it clean, and then I will position this on the piece of paper. If you are working with the black paper, keep in mind if you rub the black paper too aggressively, the fibers of the black paper will start to spread onto your clean Bristol. So you want to be using clean hands here, and you want to use kind of light pressure to set the piece of paper in place, but do not rub the black paper onto the white Bristol because it will create some smears which will damage your overall design. That is the final piece here that I'm gluing down very slowly, and now you can see my design is complete. The next part of the process would be to finish the second composition, working with figure ground reversal, and then lastly I will put both of these on to one piece of map board together. So that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions.